I was humbled so quick tonight. I was on live with my boyfriend, and someone was like, "How old's your girlfriend?" And John jokingly responds, 47. And the girl comments, "Oh, I thought she was early 30s." I am 23.
Society has become a very difficult place for men to navigate today. And this is the reason why so many men are choosing to walk away and instead focus on themselves, developing themselves, building themselves up. But of course, there are a lot of people in society who are not happy by this. Let's go ahead and jump into the first video.
So, good morning. So the passport bro business is like really people are losing their minds. And a young lady posted a video, and I'm not going to stitch it because everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I'm not trying to, ruffle feathers and get anybody upset. You say what you said. And she appears to be of Asian descent. I'm not 100% sure what. And she's saying that the reason that this is happening is because people are going where they're respected. That's why there's passport bros, that they're not respected, that they're not treated right, and that's why they're choosing this. She is married to an African American man. And let me say this, the confusion around the passport bros is this. We do not care. What we care about is that you choose to degrade, disrespect, demean the women that brought most of you into this world to justify your reasoning. That's the problem. If you feel that you need to go to Antarctica to marry a polar bear, you don't have to say because black women are this or Caucasian women are that. You don't have to do that. Get a polar bear. But the level of disrespect and complaints and whining that they do to justify their actions is where the problem lies. And when you say that they're going where they're appreciated and that's why they're marrying outside of their race, are you not appreciated in yours? Your race doesn't appreciate you? Is that why you went outside of yours? Because it goes both ways. Stop it. Stop it. Do what you want. If you want to wear heels all day instead of a sneaker, you don't have to bash a sneaker to justify why you're wearing a heel. If you want, to live in Florida instead of New York, you don't got to bash New York to justify living in Florida. Do what you want, whatever makes you happy, but stop making excuses and blaming people for the choices that you make. That's the problem we have with passport bros. We do not care what kind of women you like. We care that you won't keep certain women out your mouth.
So you can see, guys, here what ended up happening. If you notice her statements earlier in the video, she made it very clear that it was actually a woman who was overseas that was married to an African American passport bro who made comments clapping back. After she heard these comments, she then redirected her anger and her frustration towards men who are going overseas and walking away. So even with us not saying anything, when the women overseas start to say, listen, the reason why these guys are coming over here is because they are appreciated and they are celebrated. What do? They turn around and they redirect it at us because now they don't want to deal with the smoke from the other ladies. They don't want to deal with the problem that they've created. They specifically said things that were not polite when it came to the women who were overseas that men were getting into relationships with. They said that these women do not necessarily understand what the men are saying because they don't speak English. They said that these women may not have the same level of academia possessed by women in Western society. So, they don't have the same level, they don't have the same education. These women, women who are getting into relationships with the passport kings may have issues with finances, and the reason why they're getting into those relationships is because they need those men to survive. They said a number of these things. And then a lot of these women overseas basically came back and they said, listen, what you're saying is not true. It's rude to say these things directed at us. And then they started saying some of their own things. And they started, making some remarks of their own directed at the people who initially said these things to them. And now, as you can see, what are women who said these things in the first place doing? They are directing their unhappiness right back at the men who, left. And it doesn't matter if the men said it or not. The fact that they're with these women and the women are saying it, now they're going after the men. And it's a very interesting thing. No matter what men do, even if men remain silent, we will always end up being blamed for absolutely everything. This is the reason why they want to ban men walking away. This is the reason why they don't want to allow men to just walk away. When you look at the fall of the Roman Empire, what happened there? After the introduction of things like no-fault divorce, specifically, that was the biggest catalyst. And you had a lot of men who were being divorced. Women were going off and they were getting into a relationship with the gladiators. Men began to be punished for not marrying and having relationships. Men started to drop out of society. They stopped protecting the empire. The empire knew that trying to force men into military service was a horrible idea, because these men would just flee, or they would end up not performing very well on the field. So men have to choose. You have to give a man a choice if he is going to serve. You cannot take a prisoner and tell a prisoner, I'm going to put you in my military, and now either you're going to serve in my military, or I'm going to punish you in prison. Okay? I'm going to punish if you don't serve, and serving in and of itself is punishment. And you're going to do it, and you're going to enjoy it. So men walked away from society during the fall of the Roman Empire. Prior to the fall, they stopped marrying, and they were punished for it. They were single men were barred from being able to go to the Colosseum, to the theater, public shows, any form of public entertainment. So basically, no television, no wrestling, and during the winter, they were mandated to run in the streets right behind one another, as a form of both public display and disciplining. And even then, these men still chose not to marry. Within roughly 100 years, the Roman Empire no longer had a military. They were being completely protected by mercenaries. The men in their society had stopped producing and protecting, because if a man does not have love for family, or love for family, or love for country, they will protect neither. The people, the mercenaries, realized, hey, the empire cannot protect itself. It has no money. It has no men that are willing to stand up for it. The men stopped training. The men completely walked away, and the empire, fell. They pillaged the empire, and we were basically reduced into the world fell into 1,000 years of darkness, and it stayed there until math and science were rediscovered 1,000 years later. And what the Dark Ages, there are people like to say, like, oh, the Dark Ages weren't really that bad. The Dark Ages were very, very, very bad. Imagine people living in caves again and eating squirrel meat. There were some truly horrific things that happened during that point. And let's not forget that one of the worst events occurred where, so many people developed a certain condition. It reduced the population greatly. And a lot of that had to do with the living conditions during that time, and the loss of math, science, and medicine during those times. And all of that happened because men walked away. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, consider checking out my newsletter. It's awesome. It is a free newsletter. It goes out once a week, and you can find a link to it in the description of the video. Go and sign up for it, because it's lit. Also, join us on Locals. If you want to support the channel and get exclusive content, go ahead and check out our Locals community. You can find it via angrygalaxy.com, and it's linked in the description of the video. What do you guys think regarding all of this? Women made this decision. They said, hey, we're going to walk. We don't want to be in relationships anymore, and we want more. So we're going to, do this. And then men said, okay, cool. We're going to walk away. You can live your best life. We're going to walk away and find people who appreciate us and celebrate us. They got very upset about it. And then they made disparaging remarks towards the people, not just us, but the people who were also getting into relationships with us. And when these other individuals said, listen, you can't say that, and you don't live, you live in a glass house also, you also live in a glass house, what did they do? They immediately came back and brought that energy towards the men. And it's like, and basically what they're trying to say is, don't speak about us. But here's the thing: if you started off the video by saying, the person that this man is in a relationship with spoke about us. So what they're trying to say is, if you're in a relationship with someone over there, do not, make sure they don't speak about us also. Do you see how ridiculous that is? They're the one who made these comments. They're the ones that said these things to these specific people, and these people responded, and then they're telling the men, you need to speak to them and tell them don't speak about us. Or else what? Guys, let me know your thoughts on this, because they want to ban men walking away. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and cheers.